Well, the lights are back on. So let's go ahead and try this again. Hey, welcome to At the Track Live. I am Coach James. I am the creator of and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including but not limited to friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic energy, elastic force, all of those things. Once we have learned all of the science, once we've conducted experiments to drive home those ideas, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the class. Once they have selected their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, the materials the car is made from. All of that information they enter into a spreadsheet. And then all that's left to do is take the cars to the track. They construct a 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip and race their cars and observe how their cars performed. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select that same car again? Or would they make a different choice based on everything they've observed? In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars and we learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics, all you have to do is go to our website, aaerodynamics.com, or follow us on Instagram at aaerodynamics, and all the information you need is right there in the bio. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is At the Track Live. And with At the Track Live, it gives us the opportunity to introduce new cars into that fleet, those cars that the students have to choose from. And before I can allow the students to select those cars, I have to take a picture of those cars, I have to shoot a little video, I have to number those cars, I have to make sure that I have them properly organized and cataloged so that I can put them back in the right places after the students are done using them and have them ready to go for the next group. And I will be introducing, it looks like 5 or 6 new cars today. Plus, we have a couple of cars that some viewers have picked. And once we have looked at those cars, reviewed those cars, we take them to the track. The track is already set up. Now, if you were here on time, a half hour ago, the power was out. And it looked like the power was going to be out and stay out for a few hours. And I was trying to use the battery-powered lights that I have to go on with At the Track and race some cars and figure out how we were going to do that. But right in the middle of that, power came back on. So shut everything down, did a kind of hard reset, and back up. So hopefully the people who were here before, the people who were here before will find their way back, and we will have another good day of racing. So, one thing that I mentioned before the power came back on was we were looking at our fastest in fleet car, which is still this one. It is the BlitzSpeeder. It is a car that has not really had much of a challenge since it has returned as our fastest in fleet champion. It has been particularly dominant for the past 2.5 months, and we're hoping that it can be challenged today. We have some interesting cars that perhaps can give it a run for its money, but history suggests that it is going to take a very special car to beat the BlitzSpeeder. 3 cars have beaten the BlitzSpeeder in the past, and those cars have been the Gazella R, the Dogfighter, and Mercedes-Benz 500E. Other than that, the BlitzSpeeder has really just dominated every car that it has faced. But we're going to find out today if that's the case. Before the lights went out, I introduced the first of the cars that is going to be potentially challenging the BlitzSpeeder. It is this one. It is the Matchbox 2023 Toyota Prius Prime. And I mentioned that a few weeks ago we introduced the Hot Wheels version of this Toyota Prius Custom. So let's go ahead and switch over, take a look at these, and here, widen this out. This is the Hot Wheels version. And the thing that I didn't like about this one was that it had this luggage rack thing at the top, and that really, I think, and from what we saw when we put the car into the wind tunnel, it really did not help with the aerodynamic profile. And we saw that the air would build up at the front, come up over the hood, up to the windshield, and then when it hit this thing, it would just tail off and separate from flowing along the body of the car. And based on the design, it looks like if this were not there, then the air would probably flow along the lines of the body a lot better, giving it a better aerodynamic profile and increasing the likelihood that it would maintain more of its speed on the track. So, the Matchbox version of the Toyota Prius Prime does not have the luggage rack on the top. It is a traditional Prius design, and when we put this in the wind tunnel on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, it'll be interesting to see how the air flows over the top of this version as opposed to the Hot Wheels version with this big luggage rack thing on the top. Now, while I think that not having the luggage rack gives this one a better aerodynamic profile, the issue I have is that it's a Matchbox car. And what we've seen on our track is that the Matchbox cars just don't compete with the Hot Wheels cars. They just simply don't. And I don't know what is going on with the design, but the Matchbox cars just don't do as well on the track. And you can see that it's narrow. The Matchbox version is more narrow than the Hot Wheels version, and that's typical because Mattel tends to, with the Hot Wheels cars, exaggerate the proportions, so they make them a little wider, a little lower, a little longer, which gives them a cool look, but it's not exactly accurate 1/64th scale. The Matchbox cars are much more in line with the actual proportions of the real cars, and so when it comes around, you'll see that while these are both Priuses, the Matchbox version, the blue one, is significantly more narrow. And that's the thing. On our track, a wider car usually has a better shot at performing well on the track. So there is that aspect of the racing that comes into play, is that wider cars tend not to bounce around the track. With the Matchbox cars being more realistic in terms of and accurate in terms of their scale, they end up being a little more narrow and more likely to bounce around the track. So we will have to see if that is the case with this with this Toyota Prius Prime. And I mentioned before that the details on the Matchbox car are always better. The back of this Hot Wheels car, there is a Toyota logo there, and it does say Prius, but you can't see it because everything's white, including the tail lights. But on the Matchbox version, they put the Toyota logo and Prius in white, kind of gray. They put tail lights on there, other little accents, things to just make it look better. And so the Matchbox cars tend to look better, but they're not faster. And if they're not faster, then that's all that we're really concerned about here. But this is car number 1051 added to the fleet. And this is the 2023 Toyota Prius Prime. And that is, we may have to have a Prius versus Prius race. Let me check the manufacturing year on this one. 2024. All right. 2024. And we have our first car entered into the fleet today. And if you would like to select a car, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose your car option, and you will be taken to this page. And on this page, actually now it's a series of pages. There are 6 pages. You will be able to see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack Live fleet. They are numbered, they are listed, and ready to be selected. If you find a car that you think is going to be faster than the cars I've introduced, all you have to do is take the number of that car. So let's say you decide it is this 1964 Lincoln Continental. However, I love this car, but we know it's not fast. But if for some reason you want to see it on the track, all you have to do is take the number, in this case 490, take that, drop it in the chat, I will pull that car, and suddenly you will be on the track going up against the 2023 Toyota Prius Prime. Can your car beat it? I don't know, maybe. Well, definitely not that Lincoln. That Lincoln is not going to beat it. Whether it's a Matchbox, whether this Prius is a Matchbox or whatever, that Lincoln is slow, particularly slow. But if you pick another car, a better car, maybe this one, number 519, Fast Matter. I don't remember how this car performed, but I can guarantee that this is going to be faster than the Lincoln Continental. And that is for sure. Hey Virgo, how you doing? We got our power restored, and just back here looking at some cars, gonna find some to race, see if we can take out this BlitzSpeeder. So we have the Toyota Prius Prime is our first car. The second car that we introduced when the power was out and we were going by flashlights and battery powered is, where is it? It is this one. Switch over here. This is the, what was this called? This had this is the custom 69 Volkswagen Squareback. Kind of one of those in between wagon truck things that you know, I picked it up because it's different, and anytime I can find a car that's a little different, I try to pick it up, because if every car in the fleet is a Lamborghini or a Bugatti or a Ferrari or a Corvette, what are the students really having to choose between? When you have cars that are unique and different, then maybe they have a different idea about why they're selecting a certain car. They have to think about other things. If all the cars are just the standard kind of hyper supercars, then that's not really going to it's not going to do anything for them. It's not going to help engage their critical thinking and have them try to apply the lessons that we learn in the class. But when you get cars like this, it gives you a little something to think about. And what I'm thinking about is this car is not going to be fast, because the aerodynamic profile of this thing does not suggest that it is going to be able to compete. We put these cars in the wind tunnel every Wednesday. Excuse me, still getting over this cold. Put these cars in the wind tunnel every Wednesday, and what we see from cars that are more traditional is that air builds up right in the front, comes up over the hood, but when it hits that windshield, that is the problem. That is where we see the air hit the windshield and move up to the roof and usually separate. And when it starts to separate, that changes the pressure, and you get lower pressure where that separation occurs, and that works against the car's forward momentum and slows them down. And we are racing cars, and they need to keep that speed up, especially if they're going to keep up with something like the BlitzSpeeder. So this one, I'm not expecting much, but we're going to put it on the track anyway and see what it can do. So let me go ahead and get my still picture of this one. And let's see. Oh, you guys are having bad weather down there in Georgia? Out here it's just windy. But we haven't had, I mean, I get the wind is probably responsible for why the power went out earlier, but it came back eventually, as it tends to do. Get our still picture of this Volkswagen, and then I'll get the little video here. And oh, it's hot down there. I have a a cousin who lives down there, plays baseball and Little League, and I was watching his game on a stream, and it was raining yesterday, but I'm not sure where in Georgia they were playing. Let's see, here we go. Take a look at this one. This is the car number 1052. It is the custom 69 Volkswagen. Squareback. All right. I think he's in, I want to say, Canton, Georgia. All right. So we've got this one. I can't imagine. This thing is narrow. It has that big windshield. I mean, it's not that it has a big windshield. It has a regular windshield. But when you're competing against fantasy cars and supercars and things like that have a better aerodynamic profile, this just isn't it. And every week there's a car pops up that surprises me, and maybe this is going to be that one that surprises me with its performance, but I can't imagine that being the case. It is, there we go. This just doesn't, there's nothing about this that suggests, plus the windows are open. And that's another thing that with these cars, if the windows are open, air is going to flow in. And it's just like when you're, in your regular car and if you're going down the highway and you roll down the windows, that air is coming in. And you are going to be impacting your forward momentum. So we'll see what happens with this one. I picked it up because it's different. I'm trying to see if there's anything about this thing that I like. Not really. I don't like this pink and orange paint scheme. I like the pink windshield. That's kind of cool. I don't like the design. I don't like the shape, but I don't like the wheels. But we'll see what it does on the track. We'll see what it does. All right, I forgot to get a picture. Get my little picture of this Toyota, of this Prius, which, if this was not a Matchbox car, I would think that this one would have a chance to do pretty well, because it's just like that other Prius, but it doesn't have the luggage rack sitting on top, and therefore it's got a better aerodynamic profile right off the back. But it's a Matchbox car, and I don't know what Mattel is doing to these cars. Something with the wheels and the axles. They just aren't as fast, and I don't know why, but for whatever reason, they are not as fast. And we already compared the two and saw how the Hot Wheels versions of the cars are actually wider. They're usually wider, a little longer, sometimes lowered. To Hot Wheels cars end up being more visually appealing, but the Matchbox cars are exact to the scale. So this one is much more narrow, but on our track, a narrow car has more of a chance to bounce around. And even with the better aerodynamic profile, I don't think this car is going to be able to hang with the Hot Wheels, although it might be able to beat that station wagon we just looked at. So we are going to find that out. Grab my still picture, because we are up to 1,051 cars in the fleet, which is kind of a crazy number considering we started around 450 and don't plan to stop anytime soon. Let's see, what else do we have? All right, what else do we have? I went to the Mattel store. Mattel has their headquarters is down the street in El Segundo, and at the bottom of their corporate headquarters building, there is a store, and in that store, they sell all kinds of Mattel items and Hot Wheels, Barbies, He-Man, Fisher, Uno game, like all kinds of things. And sometimes you can find some deals and cool things. A lot of the collectors show up early, and then they have a system where they let you in the store for a few minutes to get whatever you're going to get. But I'm not usually interested in the premium cars. The cars I'm interested in are usually the mainline cars with the plastic wheels. So anyway, I went in there and was looking around. Didn't see too much that I didn't already have, but I did pick up this Super Rigs set, and there's a lot going on here. There is a Hot Wheels, I guess this is supposed to be the semi part, that's pulling a trailer that is a airplane that has wings to attach, and then there's another smaller airplane that sits on top of the trailer airplane. A lot going on. The reason why I picked this up is because of this car here, and this one's called it's called the Turbulence Tug, which is interesting because last week Roughshod picked a car called Turbulence, which we looked at on Wednesday, and it looks nothing like this, so I guess they just recycled the name. But this is the car. I wanted to get this car and put it on the track. Think we're going to have to make a modification, but let's go ahead and crack this open. This is what the whole set looks like. It's got you got an airplane, trailer, a smaller airplane, and then the Hot Wheels car. So let's go ahead and crack this whole thing open and see what we got. They also tried to sell me, when I was at the store, a couple of things. The Pantone car. We had that a few weeks ago. This one, we had this Pantone, this twin mill 3, and that was part of a set that's based around the Pantone colors. And they had a whole set. It was a nice collector's box to flip open and has all the cars there. But the cars, they were different colors, but most of them are cars that I already had. So there was no real reason to pick that up. And then, as I was leaving, they tried to sell me a case of cars for about $70. They were going to sell me a case, but I didn't even know if that was a good deal or not, so I just kind of left it alone. All right, so here's what we have. This is the Turbollence Tug, which the trailer part has a little wheels on the bottom, but we're going to detach this. This is the part I'm interested in. And let's see, the power outage had me skipping steps. So this Volkswagen weighs in at 34.2 grams. The Prius weighs in at 31 grams. The Turbulence Tug weighs in at 34 grams. Now, here's the issue. Will the Turbulence Tug fit into the launcher? And the answer is almost. And what I thought was going to be a problem is going to be a problem. So these edges of the motor on either side, they have little pipes sticking out, but I've got a solution. I usually don't like to do this, but I'm going to have to break these off. I'll let you see a little bit up close what it's looking like. So right there, that part sticking out just beyond the orange is what is going to have to come off in order to make this thing fit on the track. So clip that off there. So I clipped it right there. We'll see if that's enough. Might as well do well, let me see if it fits. Still doesn't fit. I'm gonna have to do the other side, and we'll see. Let's see. Get that off. All right, let's see if it fits now. Clip that off. It is still too much. Gonna have to take off a little bit more, which I don't like modifying the cars except to try and make them fit onto the track. If this is the only way to make them fit, I will take parts off of a car just because it's what I got to do. What I don't do is I will not put graphite on the wheels or do anything else to the cars to modify them to try and make them faster. I just want them to fit. And now we're running into the problem with the upper part of the engine is preventing this thing from going in. So can I cut that off? That is going to be a little tougher. These are not necessarily made to go on the tracks. They do have some of these cars that are made for the track, these trucks, and I have some of those. Haven't put them on yet, but definitely have some. And they made the truck and the trailer narrow enough that it could fit on the track. All right, we're getting closer. Oh, this whole thing in the front might be too wide. That might be it. Where's it getting hung up? It is still the engine that is getting hung up. And it's a good thing this is, these cars are made of plastic, because if this was metal, I'd have a much harder time. Let's see if it fits now. There we go. All right. Now we have the Turbulence Tug. Now we can take a closer look at this thing. What did I say? It was weighing in at 34.5 grams. Let's go ahead and switch over here and take a look. All right, Turbulence Tug. I think this will actually be fast. Now that it does have a lot of that frontal area, especially this opening where that air is going to hit right there, and it's probably not going to be helpful, especially against some of our faster cars. But I think this may be a car that ends up in the finals. I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing up top to disrupt that airflow, which is what you want to see. So I think this car has a shot, especially given that it's only so far going to be racing against a Matchbox Prius and that boxy station wagon with the terrible aerodynamic profile. I think this one has a chance. The Turbulence Tug, car number 1053. This is the Turbulence Tug, not to be confused with the Turbulence, which was the car that we raced last week that Roughshod picked. So got 2000 on that Volkswagen, the manufacturing year 2009. And we've got this whole other airplane situation, little Hot Wheels airplane, which I'll put this in the prize bin, and some student can select that for their prize if they choose. And this one, the back end flat. It's already, obviously it's wide, which we definitely like, because it means that it's not going to bounce around the track. That's another reason why I think this thing is going to do well. It's wide, flat back end. It's going to get good launches. My only real question is whether or not the air is going to get kind of caught up and hung up in this area and really slow this thing down, especially towards the back end of the track. So we will see. The Turbulence Tug is in the fleet, and I guess while I'm in this mode of slicing and dicing cars, this is one that I've had for a while, and I've thought about what I'm going to do. I was worried because, one, it's an open wheel car. This is the Dragtor, this drag racing tractor, and it's an open wheel car. And anytime we have an open wheel car, I am always reminded of Forky and what happens to open wheel cars on our track when they crash. The axles get bent, and that is a wrap. With the Dragtor, I kind of knew that if I put this in, there's a chance that if it crashes, the axles are going to get bent. That's a given. But then I was probably going to have to cut off these two exhausts right here at the top in order to make it fit, even with our taller acrylic cover. And I just hadn't decided to do it. But you know what? Might as well. So we're going to take the Dragtor, crack it open. I am going to almost certainly going to have to cut those pieces off, which we'll see when we get to the track. But right now this thing weighs in at 26.1 grams, so it's pretty light. And let's go ahead and take a closer look at this thing. And yeah, I don't know with this thing. The open wheel cars always just make me nervous because it's one crash and it's a wrap. If it just had a little bar going across the front of the wheels, it would at least make me feel a little better about it. But almost certainly going to have to chop down, cut this thing down just a little bit. And like I said, I don't like making the modifications to the cars unless I have to in order to make them fit on the track. But I like the wheels in the back. The wheels in the back are cool. They look like the faster than ever wheels, but I think they're just regular 5-spoke wheels. They're just bigger, and I mean, I like this. I'm just worried that it's gonna be a Forky, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Can't let fear of something bad happening prevent me from taking this thing to the track. So we'll see. Now the back end, it's the wheels that are going to be pressed right up against the launching block. So that's not necessarily an ideal situation, but we're going to find out real fast if this is going to be a one and done situation or if I was being worried for nothing. So let's go ahead and check this out. Zoom on in. The Dragtor, drag racing tractor. I remember back in the days when when ESPN first started, and they didn't have all the they didn't have the major league, they didn't have like baseball, football, they didn't have the big time sports, and you would turn it on and it would be, they would have tractor pulls, they would have drag racing tractors, things like that. And I guess they got too big for that. This one only weighs in at 20, I think it was 26. Yeah, 26.1 grams. So it's definitely not heavy. The only metal on it is the little burgundy part. Everything else is plastic. And actually, no, I take that back. The bottom is plastic. I'm sorry, the bottom is metal. So we have metal. The black part is plastic. Some of these silver parts are plastic, and then we have metal right there. So 26.1 grams. And we are ready to go. We're going to take a look at Roughshode's pick here. See what he picked. This is this is wild. It is this hovercraft, and let me check the weight. Coming in at 31.5 grams. This hovercraft is, I don't think it's ever been picked. I don't think it's ever been picked to race. This is going to be unique. We put it in the wind tunnel on Wednesday, and the aerodynamic profile seemed pretty good. The air definitely built up around this inflatable area at the bottom, but other than that, everything seemed okay. And really, other than that Turbulence Tug, I don't see why this couldn't beat every car that we've introduced so far. That station wagon and that Prius, I don't have much hope for those. But that Turbulence Tug, I think that might be the one. And then the drag racing tractor, if it can stay on the track, number one, and if it can, if I can get those pipes cut down so that it can fit, then who knows? That might be a contender. But I'm gonna have to see how much of those things I'm gonna have to trim off. But we've got this hovercraft, the Hover Storm, I think it's called. Yeah, Hover Storm. Back end, those fans are angled, and because they're angled, that means only the top part is going to be pressed up against the launching block. I don't know what that means in terms of the kind of launch this thing is going to get, but yeah, it's definitely pretty light. The only metal is on this one is the yellow part, and other than that, we've got a lot of plastic. So we'll see what happens there with the Hover Storm. And then Christopher, he went with this Lotus Sport Elise, and I had forgotten about this one until I just put it up. Let me check the weight. I think this one, 34.1 grams. This is probably the one right here. All the other cars are very unique. The Dragtor, never seen it on the track. Don't have anything like it. The Turbulence Tug, haven't seen it on the track. Don't have anything like it. The Hover Storm, never seen it on the track. Don't have anything like it. And then we have the Matchbox Prius and that station wagon. So I think the odds are good that if we're just going based on traditional kind of performances and cars, that this one should be right there at the end in the finals. But it all depends on what these cars do on the track. So we are moments away from heading over to the track. And what we are going to see when we get to the track is our classic 3-camera racetrack view. The cars will start in the launcher at the top of the screen on the left. I will give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race, hit the switch. The cars will come firing out of the launcher. They will go from top to bottom, passing out of the bottom of the screen on the left. Showing up at the top of the screen in the middle, they will go from top to bottom, pass out of that screen, show up at the top of the screen on the far right. Our finish line cameras, the cars will go from top to bottom. They will cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. A solid red light indicates the winning car, and a flashing red light indicates the losing car. The race is their best 2 out of 3. The cars will switch lanes at the end of each race, And the first car to take 2 races will move on in the tournament. Eventually, we will have a winner. That winner will have the opportunity to take on the BlitzSpeeder for the fastest in fleet title. If a car crashes, and I hope you're listening, Dragtor, if a car crashes and leaves the track, that race, we just throw out the results, reset the cars. If the same car crashes a second time, crashes twice consecutively, that car is disqualified, because usually a car that's crashing twice consecutively, there's some problem that's not going to be resolved by just restarting the race. So, car crashes twice consecutively, it is done. But in the case of the Dragtor, if the Dragtor crashes, likely that axle is going to be smashed and it will be done, and that will be that. If a car crashes, goes upside down, goes sideways, ends up on its side or its roof, but does not leave the track, well, sorry, that car just has bad luck and has lost the race. And that is that. So we are going to head over to the track. We're going to find out which of these cars is going to take on the BlitzSpeeder, and I will see you over there in 30 seconds. Alright, let me just check and make sure the audio is 1, 2. We are good. And let me grab these snips, because I am going to have to make a modification to that Dragtor if it is going to fit. The question is, how much of it am I going to have to remove in order to make it fit? See, we've got these cars lined up. The Turbulence, very interesting. All right, let's first see with the Dragtor how much these pipes, maybe not all that much. All right, it looks like I'm gonna have to take off about 1/4 of an inch of each on this thing. It is soft plastic, comes off very easily. And now the Dragtor is ready to go. Yep. All right, we're gonna have the Prius versus Prius showdown. I just want to see, before we see what the Prius can do against other cars. I want to see this Mattel Prius. They're both Mattel. The Matchbox Prius versus the Hot Wheels Prius. So the Matchbox Prius, which is a little more narrow, it's that Prius Sport Prime, is in lane 2. The Hot Wheels custom Prius with that weird luggage rack on the top is in lane 1. So we've got the Matchbox Prius lane 2, Hot Wheels Prius lane 1. Race 1, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Matchbox took it, and it looked like so the Matchbox Prius got out to a hot start, and it looked like it was losing a little bit of that lead toward the end, but it held up long enough to take that race. And check it out. We've got a fast Matchbox car, or is it just that this Hot Wheels Prius, that luggage rack is just a bad design element to have in a car that you want to be fast. So now we're switching lanes. We're putting this Matchbox Prius in lane 1. We have the Hot Wheels Prius in lane 2. Race 2, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. The Matchbox car did what narrow cars tend to do. It just started wobbling around the track, and once a car comes out and starts bouncing around, it is Isaac Newton's third law of motion, that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and once the car hits one side, if it hits on the right, it's going to bounce over to the left. Once it hits the left, it's going to bounce over to the right, and with the amount of force these cars come out of the launcher with, that movement is going to continue to occur all the way down the track, and you see the cars just bumping around. Every time they bump into one side or the other, there's some additional friction, and that is another force that's working against their forward momentum and slowing them down. So it's why a car like the Turbulence, being wide, is going to be able to minimize the impact of that bouncing around and stay straight on the track, and probably has a good shot to do well. All right, we've switched lanes. We're heading into race 3. We've got the Matchbox Prius in lane 2, Hot Wheels Prius in lane 1. Race 3, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Matchbox takes it, which is something that is not often said on this track, but Matchbox clocks a win over the Hot Wheels Prius, and the Hot Wheels Prius with its luggage rack. Although I thought I saw on some YouTube channel, I thought I saw a guy find a Hot Wheels Prius that did not have this luggage rack. So I think if they make one, I don't know if they do or have, but if they have one without the luggage rack, that's probably going to be a good thing. All right, let's go. Let's go with Roughshods Hovercraft against this this Volkswagen station wagon Squareback thing. First, let's see if his... All right, so the Hovercraft is going to require the taller acrylic cover, which is right here. And so we will put the Hover Storm in lane 1. The fans backed up right against the launching block. Kind of they press up against the launching block in a kind of interesting, a little weird way, but it's there nonetheless. All right, we have the Hover Storm in lane 1. We have the 69 Volkswagen Squareback in lane 2. And race number 1, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. The Hover Storm made it to the end of the track. The Volkswagen skidded off and crashed, and therefore we will restart that race. The Hover Storm didn't look bad, didn't look all that fast, but it didn't look bad. But we will see if that is the case. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell with some of these cars, because you never know if a car is the car actually fast, or is it just racing a slow car, which can make you look better. If your opponent is terrible and you're pretty good, then you look great. All right, got these cars lined up again. We've got the Volkswagen Squareback in lane 2 and the Hover Storm in lane 1. Race 1, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Ooh, okay. It's a good competitive race. Hoverstorm takes it, but good race. I like to see. Even if you've got two cars that aren't necessarily the fastest we've seen, I love a good competitive race. That is what it's all about. So that is the first race. Hoverstorm comes out on top. Roughshod's pick. We will see if that is going to be the case when we flip sides of the track. Get these cars lined up again. This time, the Squareback, which had a decent race, is in lane 1. The Hoverstorm is in lane 2. Race 2, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Whew. That one was not close. That Squareback had the same issue that the Prius had, in that it's narrow, and narrow cars bounce around, and you can see just with these two right here how much like cars can bounce around the track like that, and that's no good. If a car does that, it's rubbing up against the side of this barrier. If it's in another part of the track, it's rubbing up against the edge of the track, and that just isn't any good. Whereas a car that's wide, like the Hoverstorm, doesn't have as much room to move around. So like that's it for the Hoverstorm. So, all right, Hoverstorm is moving on. And we are going to find out if it is going to make it to the finals. We know that which car is not going to make it. Yeah, it is. It's the Hoverstorm's interesting because it's not. It looks bigger than it is, and like even when I put it next to the Lotus, it's not. There's not a huge difference. All right, let's see. Let's go with Christopher's Lotus against the Turbulence Tug. This should be interesting because that Turbulence Tug, I picked it up specifically. I bought that whole other thing, that whole airplane and little airplane and airplane trailer and all that just to get to this car, the Turbulence Tug. And we're going to find out. I had to cut down some parts of it to get it to fit into the launcher, but it does fit. It is here. It's ready to go. And then we have the Lotus Sport, which traditional sort of compact racing supercar. So we are ready to go. We've got the Turbulence Tug in lane 2. We have the Lotus Sport Elise in lane 1. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whew. That was, look at the Turbulence Tug coming all the way back to the starting area. That thing was moving, and that is a good sign. When a car has enough speed and hits that barrier at the end with enough force to ricochet and come all the way back to the starting line, that lets you know that that car had some speed. And the Turbulence Tug took that race. It was close, but not so close that I couldn't tell who was winning from this end. And we are going to switch lanes. Turbulence Tug is going to be lined up in lane 1. And we've got the Lotus Sport Elise in lane 2. Race 2, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Wow. The Turbulence Tug took it, bounces all the way back. I thought from this angle it looked like the Lotus was winning that race, but clearly right at the end, the Turbulence Tug took it, and it is now going to be moving on. I think the car performed very well. That whole issue about the way it's shaped at the front and whether or not that is going to kind of hamper the forward momentum didn't seem to be too much of an issue, at least against the Lotus. So that car is moving on. We now have the one we've got to find out about, the Dragtor. So I think since both the Dragtor and the Hoverstorm have to use the taller cover, we might as well just have those two go up against each other. So we're going to go Hoverstorm versus Dragtor right here, and I will switch out and just put in the taller cover, not our hybrid cover. This is just going to be the standard taller cover. Make sure both cars are good with that. They are. Okay. And we will line up. We're going to put the Dragtor in lane 1 and see if it is going to make it, or is it going to join Forky in that big open wheel drag strip in the sky. So here we go. We've got the Dragtor in lane 1. We have the Hoverstorm in lane 2. The Dragtor, just stay on the track. Here we go. Dragtor, lane 1, Hoverstorm, lane 2, race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Shockingly, it's the Hoverstorm that hit the barrier and flew off the track. You never know what to expect. You expect one thing and get something totally different. The Dragtor, meanwhile, just rolled down the track like, yeah, what's the problem? But we are going to restart this race because Hoverstorm left the track, which I did not expect. I wasn't even looking at all my attention was focused on the Dragtor, seeing whether or not it would crash, and turns out I should have been looking in the other lane, other direction. All right, lined up again. We've got the Hoverstorm in lane 2. We've got the Dragtor in lane 1. Race number 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Well, they both stayed on the track, but there were levels, and the Hoverstorm rained down on the Dragtor and took it out with ease. That was not a close race by any stretch. So we are going to switch lanes and see if the Dragtor has anything left, has enough left to be able to take out the Hoverstorm. All right, Dragtor switching up to lane 2. Hoverstorm in lane 1. Race number 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Woo. Okay. So in the first race that the Hoverstorm had, I was thinking like, all right, it won, but is it really fast or is it going up against a slow car? That race right there, the Hoverstorm was fast. It blew out the Dragtor, which the Dragtor's slow, granted, but that was pretty impressive. All right, we are down to 3. We've got the Turbulence Tug, the Prius and the Hoverstorm. We're going to go Turbulence Tug versus Prius and see which car is going to meet Roughshod's Hoverstorm in the finals. The Turbulence Tug was impressive, as was the Prius. And the Prius, if it can stay straight and not bounce around, should have a good shot. But if it starts bouncing around, I don't like its chances. All right, so we've got the Prius in lane 1. We have the Turbulence Tug in lane 2. Race number 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Here comes the Turbulence Tug all the way back. Is it going to tap? Oh, almost. The ultimate is when they come all the way back and they tap the starting block. That's the real kind of ultimate sign that the car has maximized its speed and force. All right, we have the Turbulence Tug, one win away from meeting up with the Hoverstorm in the finals. We are going to switch lanes. The Turbulence Tug is now going to be in lane number 1. And the Prius is in lane 2. It is, there we go. All right, Prius lane 2 and the Turbulence Tug in lane 1. Race number 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Wow. So that Turbulence Tug was definitely behind with about halfway down the track. And then the last half of the track, it just closed that gap. I thought it would lose, but it clearly, somewhere in that last third of the track, closed that gap past the Prius and is now in the finals against the Hoverstorm. This is pretty much the two, well, counting the Dragtor, that counts, but two very unusual cars in the finals. And we're going to find out which one is going to come out on top. Is it going to be the Turbulence Tug? Is it going to be the Hoverstorm? So the Hoverstorm, again, is going to have to, we're going to have to use the modified cover here, because the fans on the Hoverstorm make it a tall vehicle, and tall vehicles have to be accommodated for. And we are going to see now Lotus, how much did the Lotus, I think it weighed in about 31 grams, something like that. 31, 30. It was in the low 30s. It was pretty normal weight. All right. We have the Turbulence Tug in lane 1. We have Roughshod's Hoverstorm in lane 2. This is the finals. Whichever car can take these series of races is going to move on to face the BlitzSpeeder. Here we go. Turbulence Tug lane 1, Hoverstorm lane 2, race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Hoverstorm once again crashes, but since we know that the Hoverstorm we know that it can make it down the track, so I'm not going to worry too much. There's not going to be a disqualification scenario here. We're going to have a actual winner on the track, but I think the hybrid cover gives a little bit more space to the taller cars, which is not necessarily helpful for the Hoverstorm because it's not it's not extremely tall. Like there's some trucks that we put on that are just really tall vehicles. The Hoverstorm is not, and if the fans are, it's probably just a few millimeters too tall for the lower cover. So it's getting the taller cover, but that worked out when it raced the Dragtor. So we're gonna see what happens. Hoverstorm, lane 2, Turbulence Tug, lane 1, race 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Wow. The Turbulence Tug is doing the same thing in every race. It's behind. It is behind. It's been behind the last couple of races. Halfway down the track, it is behind, clearly. But in that last third of the track, it starts to close that gap. And what we know when we see that happen time and time again is that the Turbulence Tug isn't necessarily faster coming out of the gate. But once drag starts going to work, the car that slows down and loses momentum is going to be the car that loses. And the Hoverstorm, I think the design came into play and it just starts to slow down. Now, if it's got a big enough lead, that doesn't matter. But clearly, the lead was not big enough to beat out the Turbulence Tug. So we are going to see, we're going to switch lanes, flip this cover, and we are going to see if the Hoverstorm can force a third and final race. Here we go. Race number 2. Turbulence Tug in lane 2, Hoverstorm in lane 1. Race 2, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. And this time it's the Turbulence Tug that decides to crash. So we will reset, line these cars up again, and find out whether or not we are going to go to a third and final race, or if the Turbulence Tug is going to move on and take on the BlitzSpeeder. Go grab the Hoverstorm, which completed the race. Get this thing back here. Definitely two unusual cars. But the aerodynamics, we've said it time and time again, unlike on a gravity track, the aerodynamics do matter, and they matter a lot. And we see that at the back end of the track, week after week. Get this thing lined up. All right, here we go again. We've got the Turbulence Tug in lane 2. We've got the Hoverstorm in lane 1. Race 2, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Turbulence Tug takes it and is today's champion. When I saw that truck in the store, I kind of thought, yeah, this looks like something that has all the necessary qualities to do well on the track. And here it is in the championship round. And we are going to find out right now if the Turbulence Tug is fast enough to knock out the BlitzSpeeder. The BlitzSpeeder is funny because it either destroys cars outright or it loses. There's not really an in-between. The BlitzSpeeder has not had a lot of situations where it has been involved in multiple close races. When it's lost, it's been beaten straight up, usually 2-0. But we're going to see. We are going to see now. We've got the BlitzSpeeder, the fastest in-fleet champion, 4-time champion. It has been our champion for the last 2.5 months or so. Christopher brought it back, and it has been particularly dominant. We've got the BlitzSpeeder in lane 1. We've got the Turbulence Tug in lane 2. Race number 1, here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Wow. For as well as the Turbulence Tug was doing, as well as it performed, I mean, the BlitzSpeeder acted like the Turbulence Tug was stuck in sand. Like the Turbulence Tug was actually towing that airplane behind it. It was not close. It was an absolute destruction, domination, obliteration. It couldn't have been any worse for the Turbulence Tug. But it's got another shot. We have switched lanes. We've got the BlitzSpeeder in lane 2, the Turbulence Tug in lane 1. Race number 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. And I mean, the Turbulence Tug gave it a shot. It tried, but the BlitzSpeeder is just the BlitzSpeeder, and it remains our fastest in-fleet champion. I'm going to gather up these cars, head back in the garage, and take a look at what we saw and what's coming up, and I'll be right back in just a minute. So the BlitzSpeeder remains the fastest in-fleet champion. It was absolutely just dominant in the same way that it's typically dominant, and there's not really much to say. The aerodynamic profile, when we put it in the wind tunnel on Wednesdays, we know that it has the best aerodynamic profile that we have seen. It has the ability in doing that to reduce the impact of drag and maintain more of its speed than other cars that it faces, and we see that time and time again, and it just opens up these leads on these cars that is just pretty incredible. Just to confirm, Christopher, the Lotus weighed in at 34 grams exactly. But we did see some interesting things on the track. It's usually kind of anticlimactic because the BlitzSpeeder comes in and just smashes cars. But before that, we saw a very interesting performance out of this one, the Turbulence Tug, which is it's very big, but it's a lot of plastic, and I think this one weighed in at 34.5. So that's interesting because it's only a half a gram, weighs half a gram more than this one, than the Lotus. Especially with how big the size difference, you would think, but it just makes a difference with the materials. With the Lotus, this is all metal. All the yellow is metal. So it's metal on plastic. This one is plastic on metal, and that does tend to make a difference. And what we see, actually, no, you know what? I take that back. The silver part is metal. Silver part is metal on this one. The orange plastic on the bottom and the plastic on the motors. So plastic, metal. And either way, I think what we saw is, I don't know it didn't seem like this part of the car was a problem when it was racing the other cars. When it raced the BlitzSpeeder, I mean, the BlitzSpeeder just took this car out. I have a feeling, though, that if this front kind of came to more of a point instead of having this kind of open area here, I think this thing probably would have performed better. We saw in a few races, like against the Hoverstorm, that the Hoverstorm actually had a lead, and then the Turbulence Tug caught up at the end, which suggests that it tells us that the Hoverstorm started to slow down. The question of why it started to slow down is usually we can go right to drag. And drag is one of the forces, the main force working against these cars moving down the track. And when you have the big inflatable section of this Hoverstorm, that's a lot of surface area. And the air hits that, and then it has to go over, under, and around. And it's going to work against the car's forward momentum. And we saw that this slowed down just enough to let the Turbulence Tug pass by it. The Turbulence Tug has the issues in the front, so it's got these problems with the, move that out of the way. It's got issues right here with that grill and that front setup, but once you get beyond that, there's nothing up top to obstruct the airflow, and I think that was part of the reason why this car was able to maintain enough speed to catch a few of those cars right at the end of the race. So that is the Turbulence Tug that can now race on our track. Just had to have some minor modifications, and then we saw out of this Matchbox Prius, it was able to beat the regular Prius, but it was not, it started to have issues because it is narrow, and you can see there the difference, that the Hot Wheels version is much wider, and we talked about this at the beginning. You can see it from the back. And what happens with narrow cars is they can bounce around on the track. And cars that bounce around on the track, which is what happened with the Matchbox Prius, it's no good. It doesn't help the cars out. It creates additional friction. And even though the aerodynamic profile of that car is better, the Matchbox version is better than the Hot Wheels version, the fact that it's so narrow, it bounced around, doesn't help. But if I can find a Hot Wheels version, I think I saw one on somebody's YouTube channel. If I can find this Prius without this little luggage rack thing, then I think we might have something. I think this might be a car that can contend and possibly end up in the finals challenging the BlitzSpeeder. But challenging the BlitzSpeeder is, that's a tough job. That is a tough job. So the BlitzSpeeder, once again, is our fastest in-fleet champion. It remains. We're going to still always on the look out for cars that can challenge the BlitzSpeeder, possibly beat the BlitzSpeeder, whether that's Matchbox, whether that's Hot Wheels, whether that's some other car. We've had NASCAR. We've had the NASCAR's cars on the track, and we've also had the Racing Champions Mint cars on the track, and they've done fine. They just haven't been BlitzSpeeder fast. So we're gonna keep looking. I've still got a few crates of cars. We hopefully won't run into too many duplicates, so we'll have fresh cars to throw at the BlitzSpeeder and see how long the BlitzSpeeder can keep it up. Eventually, I have a feeling that somebody's going to just say enough of the BlitzSpeeder and pick one of those three cars that have beaten the BlitzSpeeder in the past, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So it was, okay, so let's see. Christopher has locked in his cars, He wants to see in the wind tunnel. Car number 686. 686 and car number 488. Nice. Okay. Yeah, we'll be here on Wednesday putting the cars in the wind tunnel, taking a look at, taking a little bit more of a scientific approach to that. But, yeah, it was a weird day. Power went out, so we got off to a weird start. Tried to do it with just the battery-powered lights, and then in the middle of doing that, power came back on, reset, got the cars together, raced them down the track. My voice held up enough, and we still ended up where we started with the BlitzSpeeder on top. So we will be back here on Wednesday with Wind Tunnel Wednesday, putting the cars in the wind tunnel. And then, of course, next Saturday, back with more Hot Wheels races. And if you want information about our science program, all about aerodynamics, AAAerodynamics.com is the place to go. And, of course, we still have our 24/7 streaming lo-fi Hot Wheels channel. You can click the live tab and you will see it. It is 24/7, just chill music and hot videos of Hot Wheels cars. These videos that I take, this is one of the uses that I found for them. So, Hot Wheels cars, chill music, we've got that, all kinds of things going on. So, for the 24/7 Lo-Fi Hot Wheels channel, for At The Track Live, for All About Aerodynamics and Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, I am Coach James, and until next time, I will see you at the races.